Welcome to Poems by Yas. This is episode 15, and today's topic is the journey. So today I'm going to share my poem called The Journey, and then I'm going to tell a personal story about my trip to South Korea many years ago, and then I'll share some tips. But first, I'm going to start with my poem. The path you take can be the journey that paves your existence. We all come from different places, but your experiences mark your characteristics. You learn from other people, and when you travel, you get a chance to see society in a different way. Embrace your experiences and learn from your mistakes, because nobody is perfect. We just weren't made that way. Today, I'm going to talk about the journey of when I went to South Korea many years ago. I was always interested in Taekwondo, so I started doing it when I was in college. And Taekwondo is a Korean sport. And when I did it, there were many people from South Korea. So I started eating Korean food and watching Korean dramas. I love watching the Korean dramas, especially on Netflix. And when I graduated university and started working, I saved up money and I made a 2-week trip, a vacation for myself for all the hard work I did to just go to South Korea and see what it was like to go to a different country. And I had a friend there because when I went to Taekwondo, I met a girl that was learning English and she was in Korea. So when I booked my plane flight, I stayed for 2 weeks. The first week I stayed in a hotel and the second week I stayed at my friend's house. So I really liked that they sold food on the streets and they had a nice nightlife where people sang karaoke. Somebody taught me to read the Korean characters, so I could read the Korean characters and I could order in Korean. I knew a few words. I don't speak Korean, but I could get by in the country. I knew how to say simple conversation because when I went there, not everybody spoke English. So I really had a great time. And me and my friend, I remember we went to a Korean buffet and they had so much food and they put all the food on the table in little tiny dishes. So I'm going to show you that picture. Yeah, that's me when I'm in Korea. Yeah, my hair's blonde because sometimes my hair's blonde, sometimes it's red. I always like to experience like different hairstyles and different colors of my hair. I guess that's part of my personality. So what I can take about the trip to Korea was it really helped me mature and I was able to embrace a different culture and it helped me express myself. Like it helped define who I am today and my personality. So that journey, I'll never forget the journey that I went on. It was a really great experience. Today I'm talking about the Korean culture. So I'm going to talk about a neighbor that I had that was from South Korea. She came here around 2 or 3 years ago, around the time the pandemic came. My son was around 3 years old and she had a son the same age as my son. So they used to play together all the time. And she had a daughter that at the time was 7 years old. And the son couldn't speak English and she couldn't speak that much English. She could say some things in English, but it was hard for her to say complex sentences, but it didn't really matter. When the kids got together, they would get along really well and they played together. So when my son went to Taekwondo, I would take him many times because I did Taekwondo and I want him to do what the sport I did. And he was so shy, he didn't want to do Taekwondo. But the neighbor that I had, where her son was Korean, they liked doing Taekwondo, so they heard about us going there. So they started taking their son there, and then all of a sudden my son became so confident and started doing Taekwondo because he had a friend. So because he had a friend doing Taekwondo, it really built his confidence and he was okay. But when they had to go back to Korea, my son was still okay because he made new friends at the Taekwondo, so he wasn't shy anymore. When I look at a journey, when I was younger, I never did a sport like martial arts. So now that I'm older, I did Taekwondo, I did karate, and I really enjoyed those things. So I find stuff that I didn't do when I was younger, even Kumon I didn't do, I encouraged my son to do. So he learned to read from the Kumon program. So from my journey, like things that I wasn't exposed to or I didn't have, I try to give that to my son so he can have those experiences for his journey when he grows up. When I started doing the YouTube videos, I didn't know much about it. It's been a learning experience. When I put my first video out, It wasn't the best video, but I find each week I'm improving. So every week you get to find out a little bit about my poems, a little bit about myself, and advice that I give. And those are experiences that I have that are part of my journey. Another reason I'm doing these videos is because when my kids are older, if I'm not around anymore, they can always watch me and watch my videos and get some confidence from it and listen to the advice that I have. So that's another reason I do my videos. It's for my kids, because they can see the journey that I had in my life, and that I share every week things that I learn, and I share it with other people. Somebody was asking me if I could be their life coach and give them some guidance and advice, and I said, I don't really give other people advice. If they want, they can take my advice. They don't really have to. It's just from experiences that I have. But what I told them is they should live for themselves. If they want to do something, try not to let so many people influence their decision. Try and make the decision yourself. Write the pros and the cons of the thing that you want to do and go for it. And I said, try to get rid of the negative thoughts, because I find what helped in my life, if I want to do something, I think about it in my mind and I just focus on that, and I tell myself everything is going to be good, and most of the time things work out, because whatever thoughts you put out into the universe, sometimes those things happen. So then that person started changing their thinking. So when you have your journey, tell yourself you're going to have a great time on the journey, and everything is going to be fun and good, and hopefully that happens and you can gain from those different experiences that you have. I hope you enjoyed this episode, Poems by Yas, and next week my poem topic is Time Goes By, and I'm going to give advice on time management and share experiences with time management that have helped me in my life. So join me next week for time management.